Given that Neverwinter Nights is made up of two distinct parts, it becomes a tough game to review. Well, let's start with the single-player campaign. This is your normal epic quest based on the Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition rules. And what's really cool about it is you see all the classic monsters and spells that you would normally see, but they look exceptional given Neverwinter Nights' excellent 3D engine. The problem is with the campaign itself. It's just not that interesting. The combat's all good. In fact, it's actually quite fun. But I just stopped caring why I was actually engaging in it. You just don't find any of that great character interaction that was in Baldur's Gate. And this is primarily due to the fact that you can only have one henchman at a time. Okay, now this might sound like nitpicking, but this game is filled to the brim with chests, barrels, and crates. You're going to spend so much time opening them up, you might think you're playing Diablo 2, and that's not a compliment. But as we said before, this is a two-part deal, and it's that second part that's the winner. You get all the tools used to make the single-player game, and I mean all the tools. You will find that it's going to be quite easy to create a fun environment that's spooky with lots of powerful beasts littered everywhere. The problem is that once you try to do something remotely clever, you're going to encounter a slew of options and some very oblique scripting languages. And there's no documentation to help you understand it all. That's inexcusable. Now, once you do get a game made, you can email it to other Neverwinter Nights players so they can play it by themselves, or you can set up a server and have people play it online and you act as a virtual dungeon master. This is the coolest part of the game. Right now, we're already seeing new modules popping up, and the potential is there that classic D&D adventures can be recreated for you to play real-time with other people. This is the potential of the game. Here's the bottom line. The single-player game is solid, but it could have been a lot better. What BioWare probably should have done is have smaller, discrete campaigns to teach you about the powers of the tool set, because it's the tool set that's the real star here. We're giving this a 4 out of 5, but it's a rare exception where that's based on the future content you can play with this game, not for the state it's actually arriving in. So for all you people out there that are always saying that you can make a better role-playing game, now's your chance to put up or shut up. And now the top 3 selling PC games. Now, who still needs to pick up a copy, as this has been in the top 10 since its release over 2 years ago? Who knows, but at number 3 is The Sims. But that's not all, because success needs expansion, and there's no question that The Sims can expand. So put on a silly shirt and go someplace with The Sims Vacation. But the number 1 spot is for a new entry that puts years of waiting to a satisfying end. It's BioWare's Neverwinter Nights. Coming up on Extended Play, we see why Bruce Lee's quest for the dragon falls flat, and find a gem of an action-adventure game in the Mark of Kri. Welcome back to Extended Play. Now we're going to look at 2 games that are all about fighting. One is based on the master of fighting himself, Bruce Lee, and it sucks. The other one comes out of nowhere, and it's excellent. The Mark of Kri is a classic beat-em-up game with some of the most exquisite animation I've ever seen. In fact, smashing a bandit's head into a wall never looked this good.
Barbarian, you shall one day sit amongst gods.
This looks like an animated movie from Disney. Gone horribly, horribly wrong. Or very, very right, depending on your perspective. Whatever your opinion of the visuals, the Mark of Kri from Sony's San Diego Studios is a gem of an action-adventure game, and the emphasis appears to be on the action. Set in a Conan-esque fantasy world, Mark of Kri tells the story of Raoul, who, with the aid of his many weapons and his trusty feathered companion, must stop a series of evil tattoos from being combined and ultimately unleashing, wait for it, a great evil. This storyline really only serves to set up a series of action-packed levels that Raoul must slice and dice his way through. The star of the show here is the excellent combat system that allows you to target multiple opponents and deal heavy damage with innovative combos. But what really sets this apart is the option for Rao to use stealth with rather nasty results. The wonderful thing about Mark of Kri is that the game rewards careful planning. But if you do get caught with your pants down, there's always your trusty sword to bail you out. However, it won't be easy. The enemy AI is devious and isn't afraid to gang up on you. There are a few problems. Load times between levels are a bit severe, and the cutscenes used to further the story tend to go on too long as well. And the smooth animation of the main character occasionally makes it difficult to navigate around obstacles. The Mark of Kri is a high-quality product that makes you wonder why Sony hasn't been pushing it as much as their other titles. It's beautiful, innovative, and most of all fun. Oh, and it's also a 4 out of 5.
Hi, my name's Joey. I like to play at my friend's house, like Smash Brothers, and I like Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 a whole lot. And plumbing doesn't pay. Thank you.
Bruce Lee, Quest of the Dragon is a straightforward beat-em-up in the vein of arcade classics like Double Dragon or Final Fight. Too bad it can't hold a candle to those games.
It's go time!
Don't waste yourself.
The Quest sends the dragon out over 30 levels to find his father, who's been kidnapped.
My father has been kidnapped. I must get across the bay.
That's about 30 levels too many.
The drink's chilled, ladies.
Just about every person you encounter along the way wants to kick your butt, and they all seem to shop at the same store. It also looks like they all got change. Seldom before has a game's responsiveness been so unpredictable. In fact, the controls have an odd habit of sometimes working effectively, sometimes having a delayed response, and sometimes doing nothing at all.
Is that all you've got?
Further eroding things are the game's graphics. If there's one thing Bruce Lee had in his films, it was a magical, attention-commanding on-screen presence. The only thing attention-grabbing about the game version of Bruce Lee is his gigantic head. The game looks even worse in motion, with numerous glitches and jerky movements that continuously break up any sort of rhythm the game attempts to maintain. Would a badass like Bruce Lee walk upstairs like this?
Get him, boys.
Even though there could be a lot going for this game, the end result is one of those rare titles that you should try to avoid at all costs. The legacy of Bruce Lee deserves more than this. Extended Play gives Bruce Lee Quest of the Dragon a shoddy 1 out of 5. Coming up on Extended Play, Holy Crates and Key Cards, we explore the world of gaming cliches. And we travel back in time to the Crusades in medieval Total War. Welcome back to Extended Play. Now we're going to look at a couple of games that might seem familiar. We have medieval Total War. That's like Shogun Total War, but it's medieval. And we have Freekstyle Motocross from EA Big that involves pulling off crazy tricks on wild courses using a motorbike, not a snowboard. Yep, there's a lot of things in gaming that might seem familiar. So let's honor traveling through a big dark sewer to find the color-coded key to discover what's inside the giant crate. Video games have been around for about a quarter century. That's just about enough time for this art form to have developed some very familiar cliches. They're dark, they're wet, they're dank, and they're possibly the most well-worn cliche in the gaming handbook. If you've hunted monsters or saved the world, chances are you found yourself in a sewer at some point. One notable exception to this sewer mania is Halo. As you blast your way through the mountainous open environments, there's nary a sewer to be found. Some games mix it up, of course, offering such fresh and original venues as a fire stage, a swampy stage, and a snow stage. Ooh, snowboarding. Now there's an original idea. Clichés aren't just limited to environments. The crate. So many uses has the crate. It holds health and ammo. It turns big empty rooms into big empty rooms with crates in them. In large numbers, they prevent you from deviating from the set linear path the game developers have decided to make you follow. And hey, let's not forget the rollicking good time that is crate stacking. Complementing the video game world's obsession with shipping containers is the need to lock everything using strange keys, cards, and gems. Of course, the item needed to unlock whatever has been locked will be conveniently strewn somewhere in the immediate vicinity.
Here, take this key card. You should be able to unlock the doors in the hall with this.
A close relative to the lock and key cliché is the switch-operated door trick. Compare this to a game like Eco, which relies on the player's ability to manipulate the game environment rather than manipulating the player to conform to the design of the game. How many of these clichés are proven success formulas, and how many of them are just a result of laziness? It's time for game developers to challenge what's already been done and purposefully strike out in new directions.
Take the rest of the crates to warehouse number 3. Okay.
If they succeed, the next quarter century will bring a whole new set of game clichés for us to complain about.
The enemy's gate has fallen. Onwards to victory.
Ah, the Crusades. Actually, there was nothing good about it. It was a terrible time. But that doesn't mean there can't be a good game based on it. Medieval Total War is from Creative Assembly, who made large-scale historical warfare gaming accessible with Shogun. This time around, the chosen time period is the Middle Ages, that half-millennium that was marked by strife. You can choose from 12 factions and have the option to reenact historical campaigns such as the 100 Years' War and the Crusades. The game is split into 2 parts. One is turn-based empire building, where through taxation, brutality, or piety, you amass funds to build your army. These affect RPG-like statistics of your ruler and can have a significant impact on how the game unfolds. For many people, the game will revolve around the real-time battles, which you can jump into almost immediately. Now, over 100 different unit types are available and are unique to each nation's region. This includes armaments like cannons that can lay waste to castle walls and crush the combatants underneath. That's cool, right? The game has improved its control over your troops as you create formations and then break into battle, and sometimes flee. Even more important, your men will have identifying colors so you can keep track in the mayhem. The sprite-based graphics are nice and allow for a shocking number of men on the battlefield. Even more impressive are the bodies of the fallen that will stay on the battlefield for the duration of the engagement. With over 400 maps and multiplayer, there'll be a lot to explore in the game while you get medieval on someone later this year. Riding in the powder tracks of last year's SSX Tricky comes Freekstyle, EA Big's tricked-out motocross game. Several big names in the world of motocross are represented, like Mike Metzger, Brian Deegan, and Leanne Tweeden.
I'm Leanne. Nice to meet me, isn't it?
The courses consist of 6 racetracks and 3 freestyle trick parks. For a long-term project, try out the circuit mode, where you take your rider through a series of courses, unlocking new goodies along the way.
Now you're getting greedy.
What gives Freekstyle its appeal is the mad tricks you can accomplish. True to EA Big's reputation, this is not a realistic motocross sim. In other words, you do not want to try these tricks on a real bike. The controls are not easy to master. The balance of steering, hitting the turbo, nailing the stunt, and landing correctly is tough to get the hang of. The AI is unforgiving, and the circuit mode is harder than it needs to be. Overall, it may take some time to get up to speed. Freekstyle looks superb. The scope and creativity of the racetracks is impressive, and the riders look great. Sound-wise, the game is adequate. Mostly you hear the whine of engines, edgy music, and periodic trash talking. Freekstyle is not as immediately addictive as SSX Tricky due to its tougher AI and control scheme. However, crashing through flaming hoops while pulling off aerial stunts make it a hard game to turn off once you've perfected it. which is why we give Freekstyle a 4 out of 5. Coming up on Extended Play, we travel to the creepy town of Silent Hill and give you clues to help you get through the eternal darkness. Welcome back to Extended Play. With the release of Eternal Darkness and the Resident Evil remake, everyone's now feeling the need to figure out what's the scariest game ever. That's easy. It's Superman for the N64. Actually, most people think it's the Silent Hill series, and it is one of the scariest games I've ever played. And now Konami's coming out with the third installment, which is cause for a celebration filled with dread. Happy birthday to you. Just when you got over the creep fest that was Silent Hill 2, Konami is well on its way to scare you once again with Silent Hill 3. We spoke to Kazuhide Nakazawa, director of Silent Hill 3, to get the lowdown on this latest installment.
Unlike Silent Hill 1 and 2, the main character in this chapter is a young woman. This character is part of a new image and identity that we want Silent Hill 3 to have. This also includes a refined gameplay setup, alleviating the frustrating controls from the previous games. At the same time, we need to maintain the same elements of character movements, especially since the main characters of Silent Hill have always been ordinary people. They obviously haven't had any military training.
The series has been infamous for having cryptic plot lines and enigmatic endings. Will Part 3 help explain some of Silent Hill's mysteries?
We're planning to have a more understandable plot with Silent Hill 3. However, if we are to explain what Silent Hill truly is, I'm afraid that will diminish the scare factor of the series. We'd like to keep many points complex, and much of the fear the game generates comes from the unknown and unexplained.
You can expect to return to Silent Hill by spring 2003.
I just feel like I'm dreaming.
More like a nightmare, I'd say.
You will come to learn fear as I have.
Probing the profane depths of madness can ruin your whole day. Since that's practically all you do in Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, we put together a handy little set of tips to help you summon the Dark Elder God of your choice with as little frustration as possible. First, be aware that Pius Augustus' choice of emblem at the beginning of the game dictates who you'll be fighting against the majority of the time. Those colors aren't just for show. Green monsters drain your sanity faster than others. Red monsters are stronger and can regenerate their limbs and/or head, while blue monsters drain your magic power with each hit. Always aim for the head first. If they can't see you, they can't hit you. Keep in mind that red beats green, green beats blue, and blue beats red. If Pius is plotting to rule the world with the power of blue, using green spells will take you far. Speaking of which, don't be afraid to experiment with your magic runes. You don't need a spell scroll to create a spell if you know what runes are used to cast it. For instance, use the Bankarok and Santak runes with any color to cast Shield early in the game for a little extra protection. For a little bonus, in Chapter 6, head back to this hole in the wall once you get the Summon Trapper spell. Send a Trapper through it to acquire the purple rune of Mantarok. This rune will cause interesting new effects when used in your spells.
You really don't look so good anymore.
Saving humanity from the unholy, gibbering evils of another dimension isn't always easy, but these tips should help it from driving you crazier than necessary.
Take your stand and fight the darkness.
Here's another tip for Eternal Darkness that even took me a while to figure out. Those wingy things that are introduced in the Archaeologist level, well, they're invulnerable if you try to attack them from the front and their wings are closed, but they're always vulnerable in the head if you shoot them from behind. Also, if you know what those wingy things are called, let me know. I have no idea. Now, if you want to learn more about Eternal Darkness or any game on today's show, you can find it all at extendedplay.com. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter, The Expansion Pack, and make sure you check out our message boards. They're very, very lively. Well, that's it for our show for this week. We'd like to give a great big thanks to Metreon. And until next time, game over. Neverwinter Night. Here's a role-playing game that comes in 2 different parts. The first part is a single-player campaign. Sucker! Hey, I'm glad you're still here.